Hi guys, I'm just about to get ready to go to sleep tonight, but I just wanted to share a little bit because tonight is Wednesday night, and it's the end of Yom Kippur, and is the most holiest day of the Hebrew calendar, and is the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement is the time where the Jews believe that our fate is sealed, and it is a time of judgment. It is time when the books are open. It is a very solemn time. And all day long, I was just fasting today and just going before the Lord and praying for all sorts of friends and family, and especially my kids, and just everything that is happening in the world. And so today was a time where the Jews really go before the Lord and just beating their chest and just practicing teshuvah, which is turning and repenting before the Lord. And in a way that's what we all should be doing, especially as Christians, and knowing that Yeshua has come and he was that final sacrifice, the final atonement. And as the world continues to be in a turmoil, and everything is upside down, and God has required for us as his people to be at peace and to have shalom. And shalom means that completeness, nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing to be chaotic. We need to be in a state of peace, and that is what shalom means. And as we get into 5 days from now, when the moon is full, we come to the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Feast of Tabernacles, guys, is one of the most important. The Feast of Tabernacles is a feast that we are going to continue to celebrate throughout the millennium year and throughout eternity, along with Passover. So the Feast of Tabernacles, which is Sukkot in the Hebrew, is a time of ingathering. It is a feast of joy. They call it the time of our joy. And it's a very festive feast, and they celebrate it for 7 days. This 7-day feast, 7 is a number for completion. And I just wanted to share, go to Leviticus 23, starting with 34. Speak to the sons of Israel, saying, on the 15th of the 7th month is the Feast of Booths, and that's the Feast of Sukkot, for 7 days to the Lord. On the first day is a holy convocation. You shall do no laborious work of any kind. For 7 days you shall present an offering by fire to the Lord. On the 8th day you shall have a holy convocation and present an offering by fire to the Lord. It is an assembly. You shall do no laborious work. Verse 37, it says, these are the appointed times of the Lord, which you shall proclaim as a holy convocation, to present offerings by fire to the Lord. So one of the main things for these feasts is to understand that God wanted us to rest. It's talking about shalom. It's talking about completeness. It's talking about how he wants us to come to a time where we're going to forget everything else that's happening in the world, that's happening in our lives, and we're going to set apart this time for the Lord, because these are his appointed times. These are his appointed days. And it's crazy because even as Christians, we do not think that these things are important. But there is a reason why that the children of Israel went into captivity. There is a reason why the people of God were not blessed. There is a reason why God allowed their misfortune and all these things to come upon them, and all these things to be held in captivity, Babylonian captivity, and other captivities that the Israelites and the people of God went through, because they did not observe or follow his commands to rest and to keep the land, and to have a Sabbath or sabbatical year for the land. And this is the reason why they went into captivity. So here we have 7 days of rest, 7 days of coming before the Lord and practicing teshuvah and practicing holy convocation, which is a dress rehearsal of what's going to happen in the future. This is a time where the Tabernacles is a time when Yeshua will come and set his kingdom here on earth, and we will rule with him for 1,000 years. And this is a dress rehearsal for those things. He is setting us up. He is giving us commands so we can obey them, so someday we can rule and reign with him. It is sort of like training, training his people. Okay, you're not going to do it this time. I'm going to have to scold you a little bit, and I'm going to teach you how to rule and reign, how to live in this world but be not part of it. I know that we have to make a living. We have to do things that require work and heavy labor. But God has set these times so he can show us that we need to rely on him. So Moses and Aaron and all of the people of Israel had to set aside these times, and it was counted as righteousness. It's so interesting how all of these fall into place. And I want to talk about the 8th day, because it says this: there was 7 days that you are to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths, and they were to make a temporary dwelling, and the families had to get together. They had to eat in these booths. They had to sometimes sleep under the stars and sleep under these booths. They had to, family members were there. There were, if there was dogs and pets, the pets were there as well, and their animals were in these booths. There were temporary dwellings. There were Sukkots. There were, that's what they are called. And Jesus was born in a Sukkot. This is when he was born. He was born in the Feast of Tabernacles. And so, and 7 days they are to celebrate this. And then God talks about the 8th day. The 8th day was to be a separate day, separate from the 7 days, the 7-day feast. The 8th day was to be a holy convocation, a dress rehearsal. And sometimes Jews don't even really know what the 8th day is all about. But they celebrate this, and they set this time up for the final reading of the Torah, because 7 means completion. So they are done with the reading of the Torah, and on the 8th day, 8 means new beginnings, and the 8th day is when they go and start all over again with Torah. And it's interesting because if the 7-day feast of the Lord is representing the millennium reign of Christ, then the 8th day comes, and 8 is beyond completion. 8 means new beginnings. 8 means it, and it's representing eternity. It's representing the new heavens and the new earth. It's beyond the completion time. And so when they are done with reading of the Torah, when you go back to the beginning, what does the beginning of Torah say? So what does Genesis 1:1 say? It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And this is exactly what the 8th day is representing. It's a new beginning. It is Revelations 21, where it says, John saw a new heavens and a new earth. It's beyond completion. So I said this before, but the Bible is almost like it's a continual story. It is a storyline that goes beyond, and it's an infinite, it's an infinite symbol, like number 8 is almost like infinity, the sign of infinity. And I just thought that was really interesting because the 8th day is a separate feast day, and it's the end of all feast. And the 8th day is very, very important, even though the Jews, we think that Tabernacles is the seventh feast, and it's the final feast. But then they have the 8th day, which is something very, very important. And if you really get into it, you realize it is the end, but it's really the beginning of all things. So I thought that was really interesting. Anyways, I'm going to get ready for bed. God bless you guys. Shalom and blessings to you.